So I've done the history of a building. This week I'm doing the history of a house because there's some odd things that have happened in the house that I currently live in, and some things that can be proven by one of my favorite vocabulary words, archives. Archives. Every news station in America and probably other countries too have a legal binding obligation to have archives. Love archives. A lot like the Vatican's, but these ones are a lot juicier. So this would have been the early 2000s. Just as the millennia switched over, there was a news segment that WTA did. All the teenage girls were all complaining about being date raped, and they were at a party in one house in the Pittsburgh area. Well, the house just happens to be the one I currently live in. Wait, this is good. So, at the time, that check of a friend, they were all hanging out with her. And they were going to parties at her house in her basement, where the party don't stop. And then they couldn't pay monetarily for the narcotics done. Well, if you're from the hood, it's cash or you're. So these girls ended up becoming date raped. Some of them did go to the police. One of the things that check of a friend likes to do is after all that, they throw them in the shower. They throw them in the shower and clean them up. And they've even went as far as taking their phones and telling them, oh, well, your dad's on the way, your uncle's on the way. And then the vehicle that pulls up is all involved and co-conspirators of the crimes that occurred. They throw them in those cars. Then they'd go down the parkway or wherever, these girls don't know where they are. Anything done by coercion, threats of violence. So I'm sitting with my father back when he was still alive. And one of our favorite things to do was drink coffee, watch the news. That news segment came on. And if I'm correct, I believe it was Sheldon Ingram that did it right out here. Right out here. They parked the news crew right where I like to walk. They walked down with their cameras and started doing the news segment. And that sewer crumpet, that chick of a friend, she comes out of the basement all troll mad. Her mother was outside. Now, at the time, her mother had owned Talent Artist Entertainment. Well, what's that, Mrs. Hartice? Well, let me tell you. Talent Artist Entertainment used to book and supply the majority of the gentlemen's clubs here in Pittsburgh with dancers. Oh, wait, it gets better. This house was considered, we'll use an old term, a speakeasy. But it wasn't bootleg speakeasy where, they were selling alcohol during Prohibition times. Not that kind of speakeasy, but a brothel. It was well known amongst security, DJs, wait staff, dancers. You don't hang out at that house. Some shit might happen to you. You don't hang out at that house. So, one girl, she was brave. We're going to call her Doll. Can't give you her name. We'll call her Doll. She actually went to her high school. She went to Baldwin, and she went to the guidance counselors and the principals and tried to explain they were sex trafficking the girls that were being date raped. They were putting stuff in their drinks and, oh, have a sip, oh, have a sip. Oh, the girls were incoherent and too capacitated, and then some shit happened to them. She was brave. She went to her counselors and her principals. She's even sat down with the police and tried to explain this, but no one believed her. And not only did no one believe her, guess what these we're just going to say jerks did. Jerks. We're going to say that so I don't use my bad words. They shunned her. They shunned her. No one talked to her for like a year or so. Like, they shunned her. No one would speak to her. She explained the whole story to us one night. And she was the brave one. She actually went and told. And then there was, years later, I'm not exactly sure how many. It's been a long time. But this house again was on the news. Pittsburgh police ran into it with drug warrants, and they did a drug search, and they brought in their canines and everything. Those puppers are cute. They brought in canines and everything. And in behind light sockets and electrical outlets, they found keys of narcotics. It was on the news. I was sitting watching it with my dad. That's why when our middle son showed me this house, I was taking that too. I was taking it too. You're not using it for that. I know the history of this house. I'm going to bring it back to what it was supposed to be. Magic and joy. Housewife life. So, then we get here last September, just after Labor Day. And I already told you the state of disarray the property was in, with grass being over a foot tall and everything overgrown. Well, one day, I get the blueprints to the house. There's a wall in the basement that not only doesn't have a building permit, it's not on the blueprints. It's not on them. Now, the one thing I do know about douche canoes, drug dealers, sex traffickers, they have to have access back to their product, and they have to have quick, easy access. I don't think there's drugs buried back there. I would like to know what is there, though. Is it a body? I don't know. Did they just haphazardly cut off half of the basement, cut their nose off to spite their face? It's possible. I mean, they're dumb. I don't know. I'm just like, oh, if I could get a hold of LiDAR and some sledgehammers and some extra muscle, because I don't have big enough Flintstones to get through cinder blocks. That wall intrigues me. It intrigues me every time I'm down there. There's no door. There's no door. And it would be the perfect little magic room for me to sit there and make wreaths, welcome mats, funny decorations, porch signs, t-shirts, all that I do. It would be the perfect little room for it. There's no door. And it's just the oddest thing. The oddest thing. See, back when the lady that owned Talent Artist Entertainment, she had an office on 51, and it was catty-cornered from an ice cream shop. There was a picture on her desk that she kept. It was of herself and her daughters. It might have been around Easter time or something, because they were all in dresses. But it's funny for someone to have owned that and then no one to have heard of them. No one's heard of her. Like, I've asked around. No one's heard of her. No one's heard about her or anything of her for years. It's just odd because even my old neighbor, Mr. Mike, before he had sold his house last year, he even said that he, ran into the older brother sometimes, and the brother would ask about her, like, have you heard anything about her? Have you seen her? He was telling me that the brother had called around to nursing homes and special care facilities, and no one knows where that lady is. I'm like, huh, that's odd. Like, just to, especially at her age, because she had to be late 40s, early 50s back then. So add another 20 years. You're late 60s, early 70s. And no one's heard from you? That's odd. It is odd. It's one of those things that make you go, There's been no missing persons report. Isn't that odd? So it makes you believe that someone knows where she is. It's just odd. Then in the basement, there's this odd pipe that goes to nowhere. It doesn't drain anything. I'll have to go down and take more pictures. It doesn't drain anything. It comes out from like the porch area, and just below it is the sink where the washer drains into. It doesn't drain there. It's just an empty pipe. Why would you need an empty? And it's a PVC pipe. You know, the plastic ones? That's odd. I'm just like, things make you go, It's odd. There's been a lot of weird things that I've noticed since I've been here. And I'm just like, I wonder, with my Sherlock Holmes brain, if all this is connected. I do wonder, though. I'm a housewife. I have the time. I'm just like, that's so odd. It is so odd. Even when I was talking to my cousin today, even she's like, yeah, that's odd. Yeah, there's been a few odd things. And it just, you remember those old little activity pages that like your teacher might have given you before you went on like Christmas break or Thanksgiving break, and it was little connect the dots? Those were fun. I enjoy them. It's like that. Connect those dots. Because I'm telling you, some stuff connects right back. Right back. My father used to always warn me about who I'm hanging out with and who I pal around with. And I keep trying to warn y'all too. I had a very good father. Some of the things that can be proven that happened in this house, because I told you, one of my favorite vocabulary words is archives. I'm just like, things that make you go, It's odd, though. It definitely is. It makes you wonder. It does. It definitely makes you wonder. This is where I miss my old detective friend, Dutch. This is where I miss Dutch. Dutch would have had a field day with this. He'd have been like, what? Like, yeah, you gotta see this. Come here, you gotta see this. You're not gonna believe it. But, like, there's no door. Why would you cinder block off half of the basement and then there's no door? So odd. It's where I miss my detective friend Dutch. If anybody sees him, tell him I said hello. I'm all grown up. I'm doing great. I've been married for a long time. We're coming up on 20 years here in a hot second. Been married for a long time. It's where I miss my detective friend Dutch. Definitely do. He was a very nice man, a gentleman. A gentleman. Well, Pittsburgh's getting ready for their first playoff game. I'm geeked about it. I get to stay up late, watch playoff football. I'm geeked about it. So I'll chat with everybody again later in the week. Oh, the magic and joy.